Hello, and thanks for joining me on this episode of Simply Saturday. My name is Julie, and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. For today's episode, I'm showing you a card that is a mashup of two stamp sets and products that go with those. So we are not quite ready to put away Cheers and Sips, which I've kind of thought of as a summer set. But I'm not ready to put it away, so we are going to move this into fall, and we are going to combine products from the Cheers and Sips with Gathering Moments. So we are doing a fall type card, but we are incorporating items from both of those bundles. All right, so let's talk about our pieces. I am starting, our card base today is only a quarter sheet. So the card base is Cajun Craze, 4.25 inches by 5.5 inches. That's our card base. Then we're going to have the layer on top of that that is a fun fold. All right, and this piece measures 8.5 inches long, but instead of 5.5 inches across, it's only 5.25. So 5.25 inches by 8.5 inches. Then on that piece, we are making two score lines. One is at 1.75 inches, and one is at 5.75 inches. That is going to give us kind of our uneven gatefold. All right, so that's the early espresso piece. Then I have two pieces of designer series paper, and I pulled this, keeping fall in mind, from Gathering Together 12 by 12 designer series paper. And I have this piece that measures 2.5 inches by 5 inches. And then my second piece, which is a little bit more of a subtle design, is 1.5 inches by 5 inches. Now, when I cut these to prepare them for today's card, I also noticed that this side would look very good. So it's going to be a toss-up, but I'll probably go with this very subtle piece with a lot of that foil in it. It's interesting because this paper is described as champagne foil, but as you're going to see, some gold ribbon looks good with it too. So it's kind of nice, then it can lean either way. All right, that is our designer series paper. Then I went ahead and cut my die cut shape. This is from the Nested Essentials, and this is one of those rounded rectangles that I use quite often. This is not the largest one, it's the second one down. So I went ahead and did that. So you'll need a piece of scrap to cut your die cut shape. Then I reached into the celebratory Sips paper, which you'll recall that I used a lot over the summer months. And one of those pre-printed little color blobs that I have die cut with the little shorty glass, the low ball. All right, so I end up with that cute little drink glass like that. So we are doing a fall cocktail card. All right, let's go ahead and put this together. We'll talk about the other pieces as we go, which basically is just going to be a scrap for some more stamping. And then we are going to need a piece of white that is, this is a little bit smaller than you're going to think. This is our inside panel. And it is, let me see what it measures, and then I'll show you mine when we get to it. Yes, 3.75 inches by 5 inches. Let me grab that one because I don't have it here on my desktop. So hold on just a moment. I have one here that is just not the right width. So I need to get it cut down. Okay, so here's that piece, 3.75 inches by 5 inches. We are going to do some stamping, so let's do some stamping on this piece since it's right here already. And I'm using some stamps from Gathering Moments, and I'm going to put this right here. This is Old Olive. And then I want to add a little bit of decoration next to my words. So I'm pulling out the acorn from that stamp set. And I think I'll do the acorn with Cajun Craze. And then let's add one more image, also from Gathering Moments. This little branch. Oh, I've got some glue on here. This little branch, and I think, let's see what it looks like in Early Espresso. I'm pulling my colors from the paper. Okay, so that's what's helping me decide. Now, here's something that's interesting, and I would love to know from you your experience. So this other leaf color here is Basic Beige, and I have the Basic Beige ink pad. And every time I stamp this, it comes out very green. And so I tend to not use it. Have you had that happen? It's the first time that I've used it on camera. Actually, I'm not using it, but we're going to do a quick experiment to see if this has been your experience as well, or maybe I got a bad ink pad. Let me show you. This is my Basic Beige. Look at how green it looks. There is no way that that is beige. And I've thought, well, maybe on cardstock instead of scrap paper, because that is a thing. The ink takes differently depending on what you stamp it on. So here it is on our basic white cardstock. It still looks green to me. And even if I let it dry. So please, in the comments below, leave me your comment, your experience, if you have used the Basic Beige ink pad and what you have found. Okay, back to our card. So I'm not using Basic Beige today because I want to get that figured out. All right, so we'll use Early Espresso. And let me clean the ink off of that stamp, that Basic Beige ink. All right, and I want to see what this is going to look like since I have not stamped this particular stamp in the brown before. I've done some leaves, but not this. Yep, I like it. I love the look of these stamps. These are distinctive stamps. They have so much detail and character to them just when you go from the ink pad to the paper. Just lovely. All right, so let's just add this little piece right there. Okay. That's going to be the inside of our card. I love it. Let's set that aside. All right, and then on this piece, recently I've been hot on this idea of turning my stamp sideways, and we are doing that again today. So I'm using the Thankful for You, and I'm using Early Espresso ink. This is the direction that the piece will be on the card. I'm going to turn this to the side and do my stamping. Like so, and then this is going to go straight. Let's set that piece aside. All right, working with our little gatefold piece, let's go ahead and attach our Designer Series paper. So I've got the larger piece that we're going to put onto the panel. And you might want to just take a moment when you have your paper or when you're cutting it to notice if you feel like there's a direction to it. On this one, the leaves are going every direction, and I also feel like the mushrooms are kind of positioned every which way, so I'm not worried about an up or down direction. All right, that is going there. This piece is going to go here. Oh, that foil makes it look so beautiful. Okay, the plaid would have been nice too. Definitely an option. And I might remake this card and do the plaid. All right, so easy, easy. We just get those two pieces glued onto the appropriate panels. All right, this piece is going to help close the card. However, let's give it a good press with our bone folder because you can see that these are wanting to pop open. We can help correct that with some good pressing, some burnishing of those score lines, and it will help. Okay, I'm even going to flip it and do it again on this side and here. Let's go ahead and get a feel for what this card is going to look like before we even put our little decorative piece on the front. Let's go ahead and attach it. So here is my card base, and this was like a leftover piece of Cajun Craze cardstock, and it's got like a kind of an ugly edge there. So I am going to actually pull out my paper trimmer and trim it because it's bothering me. I just need to clean up that edge. I'm not sure why it looks a little ratty. It could be because my blade is not sharp. If I cut it previously with this and my blade was not sharp. See, I think that's the problem. Okay, that's a good reason for changing out your blade. So instead of me taking the time to do that, I have a large paper cutter here in my studio. I'm gonna go trim this with my paper cutter and see if I can get it to look better because it does look ratty. All right, that's gonna be better. And how about over here? Okay, that was worth the couple of seconds to clean that little edge up. All right, and now let's attach. So here's our early espresso piece with the folds and the designer series paper already on it. And it's going to go right here on my Cajun Craze piece. Beautiful. I've had in mind for like the last couple weeks to do some fall cocktail cards. And like I said, I'm not ready to retire Cheers and Sips to leave it for next summer. I am excited to use it through any of the seasons. Okay, this piece is going to go on the inside. We can go ahead and put that in. And that just leaves us with completing the front of the card. All right, this little die cut tag is going to go here. And so what I like to do is just flip it over so it's right in the position that it's going to be. And I'm just going to make a tiny little pencil mark because I know that I don't want my adhesive to go past that pencil mark. So now I could use my glue, or I think I'll go ahead and use some tear and tape. And there's room here for 2 strips. Without encroaching on the space that I marked with the pencil. Okay, this can go ahead and get positioned onto the card, and then we'll do the final details. All right, now that I've got that sticky, this is ready. So the small flap is going to overlap the large flap. Okay, so this left flap is on the top, this one is tucked under, and this can now go onto the front of the card like so. Now we're gonna do our little drink. All right, so I'm gonna bring this in that I had already die cut. As I told you, this die is from Cheers and Sips bundle. So let's put the glass onto the card. Now I did a yellow drink glass. In the papers, there's pinks and purples and colors that clearly don't look like they go with fall. So I went ahead and used kind of the crushed curry color even though this paper does not have the yellow in it, it goes with it. And I think it kind of makes it set it apart. So I am not bothered that there's no yellow in the paper. I will show you another one in a minute where I used a different leaf print that does have yellow, so you can see which one you like best. Okay, now what I'm going to do is stamp a couple of little garnishes onto some scrap paper. So I've got Old Olive for this one, which I'm going to guess that it's like a rosemary sprig. It could be something different. And then I'm going to take this one, which I have no idea what it is, but it's cute and it's tall and skinny, which is what I needed. Oh, goodness. Let me just clean that ink up off of my glass so that I don't stick my card in it. All right, let's do over. All right, let's do this in Cajun Craze. Then there are dies to cut those pieces out, like so, and that will give us this. Okay, so this one is going to go in like that. This one is going to get tucked in as well. Adorable. All right, this is a great time to just reach for some liquid glue. That's a fancy garnish in this drink, isn't it? All right, I also want to bring in a little bit more of the fall. So I'm going to, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I was trying to decide if I was going to add a leaf. Let's take a look and see what it would look like, and then we can decide. If I stamp and die cut a leaf, it's going to be, see, it's kind of big. Okay, we're not going to do it. By executive decision, we're just going to let the paper and the words speak of fall and thankfulness, and not add any more leaves. We've got these cute little pieces, so that's great. All right, let's put just a couple pieces or a couple little elements on here to decorate it. And so we have lots of options. There are colored linen threads that are available together. So it's Early Espresso and Old Olive. These come packaged together. And obviously that one would look really good. I am liking the linen thread with these elements. So I've got my linen thread out. And then I just wanted to show you that this gold ribbon, which I plan on using a lot with Christmas projects, looks really pretty with it too. That is really nice. So because of the delicate nature of this, I'm going to stick with my linen thread, but I am definitely going to keep in mind that this ribbon looks very beautiful with those fall papers. All right, pulling a little length of this out, I'm going to stretch it and help get some of those kinks out. And I'm going to tie a small bow, small but mighty. It's so tiny, but it adds so much to the card. So it's small but mighty. I don't want to lose my loop. I should have just started over, but I'm sticking with it, guys. I'm sticking with it. There we go. I was trying to not waste a lot of the linen thread by making my bow as close to the end here as I could. And look, we were successful. All right, let's make smaller loops and tighten it up. Okay, and now we can cut it free of the spool, and we had zero waste. Look at that. All right, a glue dot is necessary for this next step, so let's grab a glue dot off the roll. I'm using my take your pick tool to pull it off. Then I'm going to quickly and gently make it into a tiny ball because my linen bow is so small, so I don't want a big globby piece of glue. So I've made that into a tiny ball, and I'm going to place it right here at our bow. Adorable. All right, I feel like we could do 2 more things to this without it being difficult and without adding a bunch of time. One of those is to grab these Cajun Craze and gold dots, and I'm going to put at least 1, maybe more. Let's see what happens once I get this one in place. I want one of these right here. Okay, I think I'm going to stop with 1. I feel like 2 is going to look too matchy-matchy, and there's not really a nice place where I want a 3rd one, so I'm going to stop with 1. And then let's take Wink of Stella and just give our glass a little bit of sparkle, almost like condensation. So maybe a little sparkle here at the top. I'm going to come down the side of the glass. And this is very difficult to see on camera, but in person, if you have used Wink of Stella, you know that it gives that soft little shimmer. It's not a glitter like is chunky and maybe is going to fall off the card. It's just a soft shimmer. And so I've done that on the edge and the bottom of my glass, and I think it's just enough. All right, this is our fast and easy card for today. It did take a little bit of die cutting, but I think that still in the long run, this would qualify as a fast and easy card. And let me show you another similar one. This part is the same, but I changed up the papers. So in this one, I used the other leaf, one of the other leaf prints, and I used a green stripe. Okay, so we've got 2 similar but different cards. Let me show you a different mashup that I did. This was a card that I shared with you recently, this design. But on this one, I went ahead and incorporated the sips. And so this is another mashup card, Cheers and Sips and Fall. And here's a second one with a cocktail and the fall paper. And if this card design is kind of making you think, I feel like I've maybe seen that before, it's because earlier this year I did do a summary card and it looks like this. So you can see I used the exact same design, changed it up with my papers, and the feel of the card becomes totally different. I will put a link to this video as well if you want to know about the elements and the materials that I used on this card. So I'll link that one. This one was today's card, and I will put some information for you in the drop-down box below this video. I would love to hear your comments. I would love to hear if you're going to copy this card, and be sure and get back to me on your thoughts and experiences with that basic beige ink pad. Until next time, happy stamping.